Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 24th episode of the Yellow Card Podcast. As always, your co-hosts, Andrew Fasciano, Chris Jones, Diego the DJ here. Um, Boy, do we have a lot to talk about this week. A lot to go on about this week. Um, some very fun stuff, some not so fun stuff for another person here. But we gotta talk about it. We're gonna rant. We're gonna talk about it. If you guys are watching this video, you'll notice Chris is pointing to his shadow. If you're not, then now you just heard me say that Chris is pointing to his shadow.
No, it's not. I thought you were talking about the other guy that was in this room with me. That's fine.
Oh, okay, all right. But but for starters, though, the most exciting tournament of Europe is back this week. Champions League football is right back. We're gonna get into that. We're gonna talk about the FA Cup because how can't we? I mean, holy crap! If that was a movie, I felt like I was in Olympus Has Fallen when Gerard Butler finally just sticks his knife in the forehead of that Asian guy, just says like "F you." Like that was exactly how I felt about the FA Cup. It was just so action driven. We gotta talk about the Bayern Munich dynasty that they have going on because at this point, like, there's no better way to put it. And I think Liverpool just brought back Karius as their goalie. So I don't know. Maybe Club is feeling a little love in the air, considering Valentine's Day is just around the corner. So,
First of all, before we even start the episode, I want
Chris's face. Chris's face is it all.
No, freeze. I want all the VAR Liverpool jokes out of the way because after today, there should be no more Liverpool VAR jokes. I don't want to hear about it. Second of all, Allison Becker, I'm talking to you as a fan. I'm talking to you as a friend. Ignore the fact that I'm wearing a Juventus jersey. Liverpool, also till I die. What are we doing? What are we doing? We have a big game coming up on Tuesday against Leipzig, and you're not in form right now. Your mind is more out of it than Diego on a Tuesday during the day.
Oh, absolutely. I think Liverpool has a better chance of having Curtis Jones and Ned than Allison at this point.
Listen, do you not know how bad of a stat that I had to pull that out of today? In the last two games against City and Leicester City, they've outscored their opponents 2-1 with Curtis Jones on the pitch. With Curtis Jones off the pitch, they've given up 6 goals and have scored 0. So
that is crazy, man.
Jurgen. I never thought it'd come to this. Leave Curtis Jones on the field, please. I never thought I'd have to say it. Leave him on the field because this is getting ridiculous. This is 2 games in a row. Now you got you're 3 points behind Leicester. You're miles away from Man City. United's second in the table, but they'll figure it out how to, But you got Chelsea and Thomas Tuchel with that beautiful 3-4-3 side that he's 3-4-2-1.
I think it's like 3-5-2 at times too. So yeah,
something like that.
Yeah,
that he's working with right now. You need to be better. You need to be better because
don't forget Everton too. Everton is like just right around the corner.
Listen. I didn't have to because Andrew's right here. I understand. Andrew knows that I know he's coming. This team needs to be better, and they need to be better, especially in the Champions League because
this is pretty bad for Club. I've never seen him collapse this bad so fast in my life. Not even in his Dortmund days when he had a bad go for a little bit. But like this is pretty brutal. Some of his best players are so out of form too. And it's crazy.
To be completely honest though, how much of his head is actually there? After losing your mother,
too. Yes.
You start to have like your moments and stuff like that. I'm not saying
rest
anything.
In peace, Miss Club. Rest in peace.
Absolutely, but we got to figure it out because next thing you know, we're going to be playing in the Europa League with Manchester United next year, and it's not going to be fun.
Oh man! But anyway, so let's dive into Champions League real quick. We got some very heated matches coming up here. Andrew, Chris, whichever one of you two want to kind of give us the rundown of what those matches look like. Let's get into predictions of what we think the scores are going to be. And let's move on from there. How about that? So which one of you two want to pull up the matches?
Andrew can talk about the matches. I will be the stat keeper, the record keeper, as I've been all year.
Let me see if I can pull it up too, real quick. Oh, I have them. I have them. I got you.
So far this year, since Andrew has joined us, he is 28-20 in his Champions League picks. Diego's 55-43, and I am 59-39. So Andrew,
so it's like we know a thing or two about soccer, but like we don't know a thing or two about soccer.
You know what I mean? Just a little bit. Like I called Thomas Partey to Arsenal. It's like little stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like
like Diego's good at getting scores exactly on the dot, especially when we're on stream. We know a thing or two.
It's a little freaky, not gonna lie to you. I myself have freaked myself out too.
I don't like it.
I'm like,
especially you of all people, you getting stuff right can't happen.
All right, so
Andrew, tell us what game we're talking about first.
Yeah, so we got 4 Champions League games this week, 2 on Tuesday, 2 on Wednesday, as is customary in the Champions League. The first 2 on Tuesday, we got some great matchups. If I recall correctly, going back to our episodes where we were predicting the draw, this first one is a matchup that all 3 of us wanted to see and thought would happen without a doubt, just because of the star value on each team. And that's Barcelona against PSG. The other match that day, as Chris alluded to, is RB Leipzig against Liverpool. It's two very interesting matchups because I guess kind of on paper, if you're not looking at recent form, looking at those 2 matchups historically, you'd probably say Barcelona and Liverpool are the 2 teams that should be favored in those. But I would not be surprised if PSG and Leipzig end up winning these games on Tuesday. PSG, especially with Pochettino having come in, I think they're kind of still in that new manager bounce period. Barcelona's kind of all over the place. Their defense has not been good lately. So I know PSG's on the road, but I think they could win this game. If Barcelona isn't careful, they could be out of this Champions League in the blink of an eye. And then we're on record as how Liverpool are playing recently. I personally have to take a page out of Jose Mourinho's book because I have nothing to say. Nothing to say. I've learned my lesson that I'm not going to comment on how Liverpool is playing until after the derby. So just like Jose, I have nothing to say. But
wow,
Leipzig probably the underdogs in that one, but they're at home. If they could start putting the pressure on and get a couple goals past Liverpool early on in that game, I could see them hanging on and winning that one. So yeah, I personally like PSG and Leipzig. I don't know if we're doing scores just yet or still discussing.
Let's give it to the people. Let's give the people what they want.
I'm going to go PSG is going to beat Barcelona 2-1. And I think Leipzig is going to beat Liverpool 1-0.
All right. Chris, you want to go next or you want to go last?
I want to go last. You can go next.
All right. Not a problem. So Barcelona versus PSG. As Andrew alluded, obviously PSG is under new management with Mauricio Pochettino at the helm of things. PSG has actually made a very good comeback in League One. At one point, they were 7th place, and now they're in 3rd place and just short of 1st place, if I'm not mistaken. They're 3 points behind Lille and 1 point behind Lyon. So that's another league that's very close. And Monaco is also barking at the tree right there for the 1st place. But the problem for PSG right now, though, is Neymar Jr. picked up a massive injury that's going to put him out of this match. It's unfortunate, and many people have kind of questioned that decision by Pochettino to put him in a match where it was against a secondary team. Didn't make sense to put Neymar in there, but Neymar wanted to play as well. So instead of just finger pointed, we'll just say it's a professional development kind of decision that needed to be made in a corrective manner. So we won't be seeing Messi versus Neymar here. My opinion for that match is we're gonna go with a 2-2 tie score. Considering that leg 2 of that will be March 10th. I see Neymar coming back to that match and actually making a difference. So I'm gonna go with 2-2 score for Barcelona versus PFG. RB Leipzig versus Liverpool. It's not because I'm not a Liverpool fan. It's not because I hate Allison. It's not because of anything. But with their recent form drop, it's impossible to beat. It's impossible to bet against a Leipzig team that right now continue to have a decent team for now, and have it to Yada Pumacano, who's at the best of his playing career thus far. I'm gonna go with a 2-1 win for Leipzig on this one. Liverpool will keep it close, but unfortunately, the errors are going to continue for Allison on that
one. Where do I start? Let's do the premier matchup of Barcelona and PSG. Yep. Obviously, the curse of Neymar's sister's birthday comes again. Gets hurt around the same time every single year, it seems like. And PSG is going to need him in this game, in my opinion.
Yeah,
but
I
also,
agree.
Barcelona is potentially without Gerard Piqué, which is a big blow to that defensive anchor, especially those back four. They need a guy like Piqué in there. So for me, I see that struggle a little bit, and I agree with Andrew here. I think PSG, I think Mbappe and company are going to be ready to go. I actually have PSG winning this game 2-0. I think Barcelona is going to struggle to get anything going, and PSG is going to have a big advantage going back to Paris Saint-Germain for their March 10th matchup. Now, for Liverpool and Leipzig, Leipzig runs a very heavy 3-5-2, and they're very, very much defensive. They're a very much defensive team. I don't see this being a high-scoring affair at all. I don't see many goals getting scored in this one. The way Liverpool's been playing as of late, it's hard to even expect them to win this game. But I do see Mo Salah getting at least a goal, maybe two, depending on how it all plays out. But I'm going with the 1-1 draw in this one. I think Liverpool will get enough to get at least a draw, and Leipzig is going to contain them and get ready to face them again on the 10th of March.
Okay, all right.
Okay, so moving ahead then to the matchups on Wednesday, we have first off Porto against Juventus. With all due respect to Porto, I think it's fair to say that they're one of the biggest underdogs in the round of 16. So I think Juventus has enough, especially considering they have Cristiano Ronaldo, who is probably the greatest Champions League player of all time. I think they'll have a nice, comfortable 2-0 road win to set themselves up nicely for the home leg. And then the other game on Wednesday is Sevilla versus Dortmund. Sevilla have kind of made a name for themselves in recent years for being the premier Europa League team. So we finally get to see them have a chance to make a run in the Champions League this season. And I have to say, on paper, it kind of looks like they should win this tie against Dortmund. Dortmund has not been playing too well lately. We've kind of talked about it before on the podcast that they're turning into somewhat of a one-man offensive team with Erling Haaland, and their defense is not quite up to par. We've speculated a couple different times about whether or not they're going to just kind of blow things up and try and rebuild. And Sevilla is playing well. Their recent run of games, they've played quite well. I believe they beat Barcelona 2-0, just recently. So they're a team that's on form. They've got a lot of good goal scoring ability, and they're at home. I think they're going to take this game. I think they're going to win 3-1 against Dortmund and set themselves up nicely to go through into the next round.
All right. So Sevilla versus Dortmund.
Andrew said Sevilla 3-1, right?
Sevilla 3-1, yeah.
for
Okay.
Dortmund.
Just
Okay.
making sure my ears work.
And then the Porto one was what?
I said 2-0 Juventus.
I have that.
So for me, I agree with Andrew's take on Dortmund. They've been a struggling team ever since Erling Haaland has gone down on injury. Sevilla, on the other hand, continue to pick up steam, continue to be a very, very, very strong team with what many people would consider underdogs. But I think come the summer transfer window, they're probably going to be the one team that's going to get evacuated very fast because those talents are highly desired for. I'm going to go with Sevilla 2-0 here against Dortmund. The Sevilla goalie is going to keep them in this matchup no matter what. They're going to be very close. If Ocampos can continue to be a threat as well as what's the
word I'm looking for?
No, what's the Czech guy that plays for Sevilla right now? Rakitic?
Is there Rakitic? I think it is.
Rakitic does play for Sevilla.
I think it's Ivan Rakitic, yeah. Let's see here. Yep, Ivan Rakitic. I think he's gonna be the surprise, honestly, in this matchup. So I'm excited for Sevilla here. I think everybody in this podcast knows I'm a sucker for underdog stories. So I actually consider Sevilla more of an underdog than Porto. Now moving on to Porto and Juventus. Interestingly enough, with Porto, did you guys remember that Porto gave hell to Manchester City in the Champions League? And even though they lost the first match 3-1, they went 0-0 because the game was so close. And Manchester City right now could be considered one of the world's best soccer clubs right now. I mean, besides Bayern Munich, which we all know, I think I would consider Manchester City one of the world's best clubs right now, anywhere.
Must pain you as a United fan to say.
Oh, my tongue feels like I burnt it. So
I can see some blue coming out.
Yeah, right. But for Juventus, obviously you can't exclude the Cristiano Ronaldo factor in there. I mean, the dude is what, 35, 36, is still performing at a level of like if he was 25. So it's a real to see his talent. But I'm gonna say actually that Porto and Juventus finish up here 1-1. It's gonna be a very close matchup. I think people continue to undermine the likes of Porto, who have Luis Diaz, Mateo Uribe. They have incredibly two goalkeepers for their for the back of their nets, like Agustin Marquezin and Diogo Costa. Then they also have they have a very good forward in Tony Martinez. It's a really good lineup. And let's not forget either that Pepe plays for Porto. And you know Pepe is going to come in and play dirty against Cristiano Ronaldo. You just know that. So I see a close matchup here. I don't know about you guys, but I see a close matchup.
Jeez. It's when you click mute when you're going to sneeze, dude. Come on. But to go on we'll start with Sevilla and Dortmund on my end. Sevilla has been playing well as of late. Dortmund, not so much. I think Dortmund's looking to try and find a formation that's working with that new head coach since they got rid of Tuchel. I do think Dortmund's going to pull this one out here. I think Haaland's going to get the sole goal maybe in like the 70th to 80th minute. I think it's going to be Dortmund 1-0. I think it's going to be a very good defensive game. I think Berkey's going to keep them very much in it. Sevilla's going to have their chances, but I think Dortmund at the end of the day steals this one 1-0. And then come on, Porto and Juventus. Listen, I understand Porto's played well, but as of late, their form, if you look at their recent stretch of games, it hasn't been impressive. Juventus in the Champions League, when they have guys like Matthäus de Ligt and Alexandro, have been unbeatable so far in the Champions League. I think this trend continues. I'm going Juventus 3-1. Cristiano Ronaldo with 2 goals in that one.
Wow. All right.
Can I add something real quick about the Sevilla game? X factor for Sevilla, Papu Gomez, who came over from Atalanta in January.
There you go.
He's not only is he a big goal threat from midfield, but he's also a really good creative player as well. So I think he can be definitely a player to watch as they go forward in the Champions League.
Agree with that.
Okay, all right. And I think, did I read this right? Sevilla recently acquired Zero Immobile.
I haven't heard anything about it. So
Let me take a look at that.
Not that I've heard.
1 second. Players. Oh, snap. There it is. There is that gorgeous freaking Italian sexy salami face. Zero Immobile playing for Sevilla. That is insane. Him and Rakitic playing together. Woo! Woo!
Where do you see this? I don't see it.
Go to the Sevilla FC players. Zero Immobile is in there.
He played at Sevilla from like 2015 and 2016. He's still on Lazio.
Well, why is he showing up on the... whatever. But you know what? Jules Conde. Jules Conde is one you can't forget. That insane goal that he scored against Barcelona, I think it was. Yeah, Barcelona.
I think so, yeah.
That was sick. That was insane. Forget about Zero Immobile. I love the guy anyways. But still, Jules Conde in the back for Sevilla. Yeah.
They have some big names. They're a team to watch out for.
I can't believe you fell for that, dude.
I can't believe I fell for that either.
Looking at Sevilla, and all of a sudden, just you see Immobile's name. Yeah, he played for him in 2015 and 2016 on a loan. Still with Lazio. He ain't going nowhere. All right, let's get into the crazy fifth round FA Cup. That it was. Let's do it. We got our Everton fan here. Andrew, take me through the mindset of your 5-4 win over Tottenham.
Quite possibly the craziest soccer match I've seen ever. In terms of matches that I've watched live.
Yeah.
I mean, the first 15 minutes, Everton looked so bad. It looked like it was going to be a repeat of the Carabao Cup quarterfinals against United. I was worried. I thought we were once again going to crash out in a big cup game.
United has always haunted Everton, and I love it. Every single second of it.
I mean, I would say they've haunted most teams.
Except for the one time that Calvert-Lewin scored in stoppage time to get the 3-3 drop.
That's true.
We'll forget about that.
My teeth had never felt the same.
But
Andrew punched him right in the mouth.
Right in the kisser. Yep.
All right.
No, I mean, Tottenham went up 1-0. They dominated play in the first 15 minutes or so. There was a little stretch where Everton, it looked like they were starting to come back into the game, and then Tottenham flipped it again and had a bunch of big chances. I think they probably should have been up 2 or 3-0 by around the 30th minute mark. Robin Olsen made some very nice saves. They also just their finishing wasn't quite on point. Tottenham had a couple big opportunities. And then just kind of out of nowhere, the ball fell to Dominic Calvert-Lewin, and he was able to capitalize. And from that point on, it was a completely different game. Richarlison scored 2 minutes later, I think. Great for him to get back on the score sheet in such a big way, because he's been a little quiet this season. And then Gylfi Sigurdsson was able to capitalize, put away a penalty. So it was 3-1. It looked like Everton was going to hold it 3-1 until halftime. Out of nowhere, Tottenham score again and make it 3-2, just to complicate things heading into halftime. And Diego, you asked the question on Twitter at halftime, what should we expect in the second half? And I said, if it's anything like the first half, I have absolutely no idea, because it was just insanity, like back and forth, topsy-turvy action.
Come on, don't reveal my identity when I'm out of our page. Come on, man.
No, right?
Sorry to blow up your spot.
It was you bastard.
It was you.
But it continued straight away in the second half. Tottenham made it 3-3 very quickly. I was honestly at halftime, I was pretty sure Tottenham would score and make it 3-3. It just seemed like that type of game. And the chaos just didn't stop. Richarlison scored again, another great goal to make it 4-4. Of course, Tottenham brought Harry Kane on. As soon as he came on, you just had a feeling he was going to score at some point, and he did, to make it 4-4 and send it to extra time. And then quite possibly the littlest man on the Everton team came up absolutely huge, Bernard, with the goal in extra time. I was so happy for him, honestly. He's been a player who's kind of been in and out of the squad, hasn't really had a regular place, but when he does get in there, not only does he just keep his head down and not complain whatsoever, he's a complete professional, but when he does get in there, he's able to contribute and create things offensively. I think it's been a little tough for him over in England just because of the physicality, considering he's a smaller player, but there's no denying his technical ability. And he can be really, really good when he's at his best. So I was so happy to see him score. And then from that point on, I was just in physical pain. I mean, I was so scared that Tottenham were going to equalize and send it to penalties. But they didn't. I mean, it's a game where it was so crazy and such a roller coaster that I'm not sure I can say that I truly enjoyed it while it was happening. But afterwards, I was so happy to have come out on top of a game like that. It's just such a morale booster, I feel like, when your team sticks together in a chaotic game like that and is able to pull it out. So it was, like I said, quite possibly the craziest game I've seen in my time as a soccer fan. And I'm just thrilled that we were able to come out on top, because there's no doubt in my mind that before Ancelotti was here, that game would have been 3 or 4-0 Tottenham, easy win.
Sure.
Yeah,
no, I agree with that. So awesome stuff from Andrew. Obviously, I mean, you can tell just his passion for Everton is undeniable there. Just a quick rundown on the scores on that. FA Cup fifth round. Bournemouth 2-0 over Burnley. What an exciting match, said no one ever. Manchester United versus West Ham. That was a very close match, but very boring too. It lacked of substance.
I was about to say, if you just call Burnley and Bournemouth boring, and you talk about how good Man United played in that game, I was getting ready to come. I was getting ready to come in with the. You want to talk about boring, Diego?
Yeah, no, this was very boring. I mean, the only excitement there is we had 2 ex-United people playing on the opposite side of things. So we had Jesse Lingard, and then we had David Moyes, who was a coach for Manchester United at one point. Swansea versus Manchester City. Everyone predicted this match to be extremely close. It kind of was, in a way, considering Manchester City's caliber. 3-1 Manchester City over Swansea. Another stunk of a game. Leicester City versus Brighton. I'm surprised that Leicester City struggled like crazy against Brighton as well. Even though Brighton got some reinforcements, and they looked very good on the pitch too. So 1-0 over Brighton on that. Sheffield United versus Bristol City. 1-0 Sheffield. Wolves and Southampton, 2-0 Southampton. And talk about a crap game. The end of this fifth round, Barnsley versus Chelsea. How is it that Barnsley kept Chelsea on their heels the whole entire game, basically? And it came down to the 64th minute for Tammy Abraham to finally take a shot straight to net. I mean, that was, I think I was half asleep until the announcer started screaming goal, and I was like, huh? What happened? Like, I was like, what the hell? What a boring ass game that is. But then you got the quarterfinals coming up.
Before we touch upon the quarterfinals,
yeah,
can we give a round of applause to Sheffield United for moving on to the quarterfinals of the FA Cup? You know, because this team is absolute dog.
I mean, I almost wanted to give a round of applause. They are. I honestly wanted to give a round of applause to Barnsley that didn't lose more than 1-0.
Sheffield United are looking to pull a Portsmouth and a Wigan and try and win the FA Cup in a year that they get relegated. So,
oh my God, yeah, talk about that.
On that.
So real quick, before we touch upon the quarterfinals, what do you think the final matchup of the FA Cup is going to be?
I have a thought, but I'm gonna let Andrew go first.
I I don't know
Andrew,
if I can.
give us your prediction as an Everton fan of who you want Everton to play in the final,
Okay.
and then give us your realistic prediction on who you think is actually going to be in the final.
I mean, as an Everton fan, who I want us to play in the final, I think
Sheffield United.
On the one hand, it depends whether or not I want to go like a game that I think we could win, or on the other hand, like I think a game against United would be pretty cool. That was the matchup the last time we actually won the FA Cup, so that would be pretty impressive to be able to beat Tottenham. We'd have to get by City to get to the final, and then United all in one cup run. I mean, look, I can't lie. It's a very tough draw for Everton. We've said on stream and on the podcast that City are one of probably top 2 team in the world right now of club soccer, along with Bayern Munich. But I would say, I'd rather play them at Goodison than either in Manchester or at Wembley. I think that gives Everton a little bit of an advantage there. And then also, again, I'm more confident with Carlo Ancelotti at the helm than I would be otherwise. So, I mean, like on paper, City should be favored to win that game, but you never know. The game against Tottenham was so crazy that who knows? Anything can happen. It's the FA Cup, right?
Yep.
Then in terms of other games, I think Southampton probably should advance against Bournemouth. Chelsea should advance against Sheffield United. Leicester and Man United is kind of more of a toss-up. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on that game, Diego, but that's a pretty interesting semifinals right there. You have Southampton, who are probably the team that the big dogs would want to draw, but also not a team to just write off. We've talked about them in the past. They're capable of playing up a level and taking it to big teams. Chelsea is a really interesting team right now under Tuchel with the new manager in effect. They look so different from how they did under Lampard at the end. And then, City, great team. Everton, playing well. And Leicester and United are also both playing well. So you could see this competition going really any number of ways. I think there's 5 or 6 teams left in it that you wouldn't be surprised if they ended up winning it.
Personally, I just think what they're going to try and do is they're going to try and set up a City United FA Cup final, and then they're going to fail in it, unfortunately. I think realistically, we're going to see Manchester City taking on Chelsea in the FA Cup final. And here's why. So the numbers for a Man City, Man United FA Cup final game would be through the roof for literally anything. Any competition, it's through the roof. And playing for a title, it means that much more. So they're going to try and do whatever it takes for that to happen. I do think United's going to beat Leicester, personally. They've had success against them in the past, and the way that Leicester City's played as of late, you can start to see them potentially taking the dip after today, getting the 3 goals in the 7-minute span to beat Liverpool. That kind of stuff you're not going to see from them often. And I do think, like the semifinals, I think we're going to see Man City and the winner of Bournemouth and Southampton versus Man United and Chelsea. I think Chelsea right now just is an overall better team than Man United is, just based off the form that they have with Tuchel as their manager. Man United's still going to be very good, but you never know with Ole. Ole could always put a wrench in someone's plan to win literally any game. So personally, for me, I think we're going to see a Man City Chelsea FA Cup final.
Okay. I personally think otherwise. With the Manchester Derby coming up on March 6th, that'll line it up for an FA Cup final of Manchester City versus Manchester United. I don't think the Manchester Derby on March 6th, that United will win that. There is no way, especially with the form that Manchester City's on right now. But United will be coming off of a very tough stretch then. They will be coming off of having to go in the round of 32 facing Real Sociedad, which is a very tough
draw for them.
Yep, it's a very tough draw. Then you have 1 second. Then you have Newcastle, who continue to be a pest in everyone's pathway. Even though they're not very high on the table, they are a pest. You see Real Sociedad again the weekend after that. Then you got Chelsea. Then you got obviously Manchester Derby, West Ham, who continue to be tough, and then you go into the quarterfinals against Leicester City. This is one of those instances where every time that United has had a tough schedule, their form just improves and improves and improves and improves as the schedule goes deeper. That is one of the reasons why I actually see United beating Leicester City. It's got to be a very close match. Don't get me wrong. There is no way to undergrade Leicester City in that one. I think it's actually got to be a 2-1 score, and it's got to be coming down to the wire as a factor there. Do I see Everton giving Manchester City hell? Absolutely. There's no reason why they shouldn't. I think in that game, if I'm not mistaken, James Rodriguez might be playing.
Yeah, I mean, it's not until kind of like the end of March, so I hope he'll be back. Yeah.
So I think in that game he will be playing. He will be a huge factor, and I think if he was a factor in this Tottenham game, forget it. Tottenham would have lost that game 6-4 without a doubt in my mind. Just because Segi and James Rodriguez can be very good creative pieces for Everton. I think for Chelsea, the run in the FA Cup might come to a halt if they face somebody like a Southampton. And the reason why I say that is because Southampton is one of those touchy teams that you don't want to play, even though you kind of undermine them. And that 3-5-2 formation for Tuchel is not going to work out against Southampton. Every time that a Southampton has faced a 3-5-2 formation, they've either won or drawn because they are good against that formation. Their team actually works around that formation very well. So for me personally, the FA Cup final comes down to a Manchester Derby. But I wouldn't be surprised either to maybe actually see Everton make a deep run for this FA Cup final and possibly go against maybe even Leicester City. An Everton versus Leicester City final, that would be phenomenal to watch, in my opinion. Two very good teams under very good management, developing. Why not? I think the numbers on that one would be through the roof, personally. I mean, not the same way as the Manchester Derby, but I think the Manchester Derby has been commercialized for so many years that you kind of always expect high numbers there. So that's my prediction on that. I'll leave it.
Well, that's why That's why I thought that there would be on the collision course to meet in the final if that was the case. Like I would see the winner of Everton and Man City playing the winner of Bournemouth and Southampton, and then Chelsea would get the winner of Leicester and Man United. That's how I see it playing out as of right now. Okay. Just because if you're looking at numbers, the FA Cup, people look forward to it, especially starting around the quarterfinals. When the quarterfinals come around, it's when people start really focusing on it. Mm-hmm. And having the two big names like City and United, who are 1 and 2 in the table right now, is good for the FA Cup, and they desperately need them to be in the championship and facing each other to draw ratings, numbers, and revenue. Yeah. Because those two playing at Wembley would be the revenue that could come out of that game would be unreal.
Yeah, it would be a huge relief for the FA tournament, personally. I mean, let's not also forget that the FA Cup is the oldest domestic national competition there is in the world. And to have two of the best known teams on the Premier League and also the FA Cup go head to head, it just creates that much expectation for a match. But moving on to real quick, just before we wrap up, Liverpool, as we talked about earlier, on a collision course to either fail miserably or maybe kind of ignite a little bit of fire under their behinds to kind of perform better. So I'm going to make this question very straightforward for you, Chris. Where do you see Liverpool finishing in this year's Premier League edition? Do you see them 4th, 5th, 6th, or maybe lower in their table?
I don't think they fall lower than 4th, to be honest with you. Okay. Just based off of their schedule after today, besides Everton, I'm pretty sure it's fairly easy for them. out of besides obviously the Champions League. So they play Everton. Then you got Sheffield United. You got Fulham. Easily, especially if they got their backs against the wall, they're easily going to come up and show out there. You're going to get then you go to Wolves. Then you go to Arsenal. And then you're home against Villa. Then you're on the road at Leeds, who played you tough earlier in the year. You got Newcastle, you got United again, Southampton, West Brom, Burnley, and Crystal Palace. I think they hit a little bit of a rough patch in the middle of March and April, but after that, after the Man United game, there's 3 to 4 games that they should easily get at least 9 points out of.
So here's my concern.
If you personally,
go ahead.
Personally, if you look at the Leicester City schedule, after May 1st, they got Newcastle, United, Chelsea, and Tottenham. It's a tough schedule for them. So, and Leicester still has to play City. They still have to play Arsenal again. They still have to play West Ham again. They have the tougher schedule down the stretch. So I think we'd see a little dip in Leicester's play, unfortunately. And I think in order, it's going to finish along the lines of obviously City won. I think United's going to finish second. Chelsea will get into third, and Liverpool will finish fourth.
Okay. So a couple of concerns that I have for Liverpool coming up real quick is throughout this year's campaign, they haven't really done very well against bottom of the table teams.
Agreed.
They've struggled against Burnley just recently, where they lost at home 1-0. Before that, they kind of struggled to beat Sheffield United at home. That was a 2-1 score, which, quite frankly, going back to that match, could have ended 2-2. It would have been not so hard for Liverpool. You go to Brighton, 1-1 November 28th. You lose to Brighton as well. Southampton beat you at home. At their home, I'm sorry. 1-0. So I'm concerned for Liverpool facing the bottom of the table guys, because as I've said it before, and I'll continue to say it, there's nothing more dangerous than a team that's got nothing to lose. And you know that for somebody like Sheffield United, maybe Fulham or anybody like that, they're not afraid to go dirty and cause injuries for some players that they know are going to be meaningful for Liverpool. So that's a concern, number one. Number two, a lot of these bottom of the table teams, when they know that they're going down to be relegated, they're going to leave with a legacy. And I can guarantee you they're going to be a pest in anybody else's way. Not just Liverpool. They could easily be a pest to Manchester United, to Manchester City, to anybody who's in the top 10 right now in the league. So while I do wish for Everton to win, for Liverpool to win these games, there's got to be some concerns. There's got to be a lot of concerns coming up here.
Obviously there's concerns and stuff like that. But if you look at the record and you look at the teams and the stretch that they have left, you would look at it in a better direction than you would for Leicester, who has a tougher road down the stretch.
Yeah, just Sheffield United has been tough to play with the past 4 or 5 weeks. Ever since they beat United at home, they kind of taken off. They played a very physical game against City, where City only was able to get away with 1 goal in there. They go to West Brom, which is a very similar team in terms of form, and they beat them at 2-1. They go against Chelsea, and Chelsea struggles to beat Sheffield United 2-1. And just recently in the FA Cup, they played a good game against a Bristol City team that was not willing to go down without a fight. So there are some concerns there, like I said. But again, best of luck for Liverpool. Hopefully they don't end lower in the table. I would hate to see Jurgen Klopp be gone of Liverpool, because he's such an amazing coach, and he delivers so much passion for the game. I want to continue seeing him in the Premier League.
He'll trust me. He'll be at Liverpool next year. Because of the fact of, if you look at the season as a whole, what the owner group will take away from it is that he got dealt one of the shittiest hands in all of soccer, having both your starting center backs out for the season potentially, and then just keep having to bring in guys to play center back, and just keep getting injuries and injuries and injuries. The injuries are piled up for Liverpool. I'm not making it as an excuse for why they're not performing up to the level that they can be, but all I'm saying is it's not going to be the reason why Klopp gets fired.
Okay. Now, to wrap it up, congratulations to Bayern Munich on their 6th trophy. That is insane. Having won, I didn't forget the name of the tournament because at this point I just see Bayern Munich winning everything.
They're just the champion.
They're just champions. And to top it all off, they got Dayot Upamecano to come on as a replacement for David Alaba, who is going to Real Madrid comes this summer. So talk about a team that's going to be stacked for many years to come, possibly. That's one of them. That is one of them. I would almost venture to say they could possibly win Champions League again this year.
I said to you at the beginning of the year is they just lose. I still think it. I think we could potentially be on a collision course to seeing Bayern Munich and Manchester City in the Champions League.
That would be a phenomenal match.
Unreal, yeah.
Yeah, because Hansi Flick has just been unbelievable for Bayern Munich. I never thought of this guy being such an amazing coach, but that's the beauty about soccer, right? A surprise just comes and goes, and whenever the opportunity arises. So
you just never know. Anything on any given day.
But with that said, that wraps it up for episode 24 of the Yellow Card Podcast. If you are following us on YouTube, please note this is the first week that we're actually going to be transitioning over to the Couch Guy Sports channel on YouTube. Make sure to subscribe. Make sure to follow us there and watch our videos there. Give us a comment. Give us a thumbs up. Give us a thumbs down. Say, Chris, you suck, or Andrew, you suck, or Diego, you suck. Whatever you feel like saying.
I love how you started with Chris, you suck.
But anyways, thank you so much for tuning in. And we'll be back next week for episode 25. Thank you so much for tuning in and have a great week, guys.